Consuelo Mathletes. Okay, today starting chapter 8. And is this going to be fun or is this going to be fun? I'm going to say it. Fractions. Oh my, fractions. Things of beauty, things that make your heart go flutter with excitement. So what is a rational expression? Or later we're going to deal with rational equations. A rational expression is a fraction that has a polynomial in the numerator and a polynomial in the denominator. So if you don't understand polynomials, we dealt with linear equations. Those are polynomials. We dealt with quadratics. Those are polynomials. We dealt last chapter with polynomials of degree 3 and greater. And basically in all of those, pretty much what did you have to know how to do? Factor. And then factor again and factor again. So if you're weak on factoring, it's just going to keep coming back. So, come and see me for help. So an example, what we're going to do today is just simplify them, but also we're going to figure out what the domain is. And we're going to start off by looking at the domain. So what we want to figure out is what can you not have for x first. Now, that's not the domain. The domain is what may you have for x. So we're going to kind of go about it backwards. We're going to figure out what can't you have, and then we'll list everything else. So what can't you have? So this thing up here, this right here, is just an example of a rational expression. We could take a look at the domain of that, but the example I decided to give you was this. So what values are excluded from the domain? Basically, it's this simple. The denominator can't be 0. Denominator of a fraction can't be 0. So what you do is you say the denominator of the fraction can't be 0. Okay, and then you solve for x. And what does it say? X cannot be negative 7. Well, if x can't be negative 7, it's everything else. So it starts from negative. So the domain is negative infinity to negative 7, and then negative 7 to positive infinity. So we're just excluding negative 7. Now, unfortunately, Alex pretty much just stops at what's excluded. But you should be able to tell me not just what's excluded, but what's included. What's included is the domain. Okay, another example. Here we have this fraction. So you just take the denominator, say it can't be 0. And then just like you would if it was equal to 0, you said each factor not equal to 0. So x is not negative 8 and x is not 2. Therefore, it's everything other than that. So we're going to start at negative infinity, go to negative 8, skip over negative 8 and go from negative 8 to 2, and then skip over the 2 and go from 2 to positive infinity. Okay, next thing you should be able to do is simplify, multiply, and divide rational expressions or fractions. Okay, so basically what are you going to do? Factor and cancel. So in this first example, again, how do you factor? Greatest common factor, that's the first thing you look for. Difference two squares are trinomial. And then the third thing is perfect cubes. So you factor the numerator, you factor the denominator, and then cancel. That's pretty much about it. Okay? In the second example, it's division, so you have to invert the divisor being this one, the second one, and then you cancel. And we've been canceling, we've been doing for a long time. Okay? In this case, we have multiplication. So, for instance, you cannot cancel the 2 and the 12. Why not? Because of the plus sign and the minus sign. Or, sorry, I guess in this case it's just a minus sign. Because of these minus signs, you can't cancel the 2 and the 12. Okay? Things you cancel have to be factors. So we factor the numerator, factor the denominator, x minus 2 doesn't factor. Factor out the 5x minus 10, factor out the x squared minus 9, and then just cancel whatever you can cancel. And your answer is whatever's left over. Okay, in this case, We have x squared minus 4x minus 21 over x squared minus 9x plus 14 divided by the fraction x squared plus 3x minus 10 all over x squared minus 25. So what are we going to do? We're going to factor the x squared minus 4x minus 21. You see it there. Then we factor the x squared minus 9x plus 14. You see it there. Now we flip this fraction over, and we can factor it at the same time. So we factor the x squared minus 25 and put it in the numerator. We factor the x squared plus 3x minus 10, put it in the denominator. And then basically just cancel. Okay, here, this is a division problem. It just is written as a fraction as opposed to the division symbol. So we take the 5x cubed, that doesn't factor at all. Take the x squared minus 49, that factors into x minus 7x plus 7. And then we flip over the divisor. So we factor the x squared minus 6x minus 7, that gives us x minus 7 times x plus 1. And then the 30x is just 30x. Then you cancel, and you end up with whatever you end up with. Okay, that's it. It's basically just factor and cancel. If you're good at factoring, this is fairly simple. If you're not good at factoring, you're kind of in trouble. That's about all I can really say. But if you have any questions on it, please ask me.